Well, my dear brothers and sisters, welcome. Thank you so much for coming together today. I'm very, very honored and grateful for your presence. A word of welcome and thanks to my brother bishops who are here, our priests, our deacons, our religious, seminarians, and so many members of the lay faithful. Thank you so much for coming together today. I'm also very grateful to all those who have worked so hard to prepare for our liturgy today and to everyone who is assisting with our special Mass this afternoon. Thank you very, very much. On occasions like this, I've often said that an anniversary is an intersection of the past and the future, a time when we pause to thank God for all the blessings of the past, and we seek God's presence and grace as we move into the future, a future that is sometimes very, very unpredictable. Now, in my particular case, the past is much longer than the future will be. After all, while I've been a priest for 43 years and a bishop now for 25 years, I'm scheduled to retire in just about 5 years. The way things are going, I will be retired before Tom Brady. But he's having a better season than I am, too. At this intersection of my life, I am so grateful. God has been very, very good to me in so many ways. He has given me material, personal, and spiritual blessings too many to count. I can only echo the words of the psalm, "What return shall I make to the Lord for all of his goodness to me? I shall take up the cup of salvation and call upon the name of the Lord." And it's that instinct that brings us to this Mass of Thanksgiving today, in which once again we take up the cup of salvation and receive the body and blood of the Lord. A while back, I went to a very fine restaurant in Cranston with a friend who was visiting from Pittsburgh. And after we were seated and had a brief conversation, the waiter said to me, he said, "I notice your accent. What country are you from?" "I'm from the country of Pittsburgh," I said, very amused that someone from Rhode Island would ask me about my accent. The question, however, underlined the fact that as a bishop, I have served in 3 different locales, in 3 different dioceses: Pittsburgh, Youngstown, and during the last 12 years here in Providence. What have I learned during these 25 years, I've asked myself, and these days leading to my anniversary? Well, many things, of course, during these years in which I've grown in age, if not in grace and wisdom. But most of all, I've experienced the reality of the presence and the primacy of God in my life and ministry. I've realized time and again what Mother Teresa said in a quote attributed to her: "I am only a little pencil in the hand of our Lord. He may draw whatever and whenever he wants. If the writing or drawing is good, we do not honor the pencil or the paper, but rather the one who used it." Awareness of the presence and the primacy of God helps us to keep a healthy and balanced approach to life. And that's as true for you as it is for me. We need to keep a sense of perspective, sometimes even a sense of humor about the things that befall us. Not every problem is as serious as it seems at the moment, and not every problem is the end of the world. As a bishop, I learned pretty quickly that I can't solve every problem or meet every need, but I can do something in my own little way to make a difference, and that makes my ministry worthwhile. It helps me to keep on going. The practice of the presence of God reminds me that in the vast and expanding scope of the universe, I am just a tiny spark of dust. I'm just a blink of an eye in the long history of the church and the world. The church was here a long time before me, and it will be here a long time after I'm gone. And yet, despite my insignificance, God has created me, redeemed me, and called me to this work. He loves me in a personal and precious way. A few months ago, in the midst of a number of discouraging diocesan problems and weighty decisions to be made, one of our priests just shook his head and asked me sincerely, "How do you sleep at night?" I said, "I'm working very hard every day, and I'm doing my best. There's nothing else I can do. God is still in charge, and everything will be okay. That's how I sleep at night." In my personal life and in my ministry as a priest and bishop, I've tried to remember what St. John the Baptist said when he pointed to Jesus and exclaimed, "He must increase, I must decrease." Words that are a sure formula for spiritual growth and personal peace and consolation. Every day, Jesus must increase and I must decrease. Or as St. Paul said, "I still live my human life, but it is a life of faith in the Son of God, who has loved me, has given himself up for me." And I've often been inspired by the advice found in the letter to the Hebrews, "Keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, the leader and perfecter of our faith." Keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. When I was ordained a bishop 25 years ago, the rite of ordination included these words addressed to God's people. "In the person of the bishop, Jesus Christ is present among you. Through the ministry of the bishop, Christ himself continues to proclaim the gospel and to confer the mysteries of faith on those who believe." Making Jesus present among his people, that's the charge given to the bishop. The spiritual work he fulfills in his threefold mission of teaching, governing, and sanctifying. A noble work, to be sure, but one that's carried out in the nitty-gritty, not always glamorous activities of everyday life. But while making Christ present is the vocation of the bishop, isn't it also the vocation of every member of the church? Bishops, priests, deacons, religious, and laity. To make Jesus present in the world through our lives of faith, an active, vibrant, convincing, joyful faith. To be the salt of the earth and the light of the world that Jesus called us to be. Or to live the joy of the gospel, as Pope Francis has reminded us so often. And likewise, isn't it the presence of Christ, the nearness of Christ, that also inspires the joy and the hope of this Advent season, a joy that is found so clearly in the readings of this Gaudete Sunday? The prophet Isaiah proclaims, "I rejoice heartily in the Lord, and my God is the joy of my soul, for he has clothed me with the robe of salvation and wrapped me in a mantle of justice." And St. Paul says, "Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, in all circumstances give thanks." And in the Gospel today, John the Baptist finds his reason for being and his mission fulfilled in proclaiming the coming of the Messiah. He came to testify to the light, a light that gives renewed hope to the people who are walking in darkness. Brothers and sisters, may the nearness of Christ, Emmanuel, the God who is always with us, bring us peace and joy in these final days of Advent. And so, as I stand at this intersection of the past and future on the 25th anniversary of my ordination as a bishop, I thank God for calling me, choosing me to be a priest and a bishop. Why he called such an unworthy, weak and imperfect man to this lofty office, I will never know. But I've accepted the task, and I've done my best, always comforted by the words of Jesus to his first disciples, "You did not choose me, I chose you." If I've had any success at all in making Christ present to the church and the world, I give thanks and praise to God. After all, I'm just a pencil. But throughout my ministry, I've also been blessed by the personal support and professional assistance of so many others who also love the church and believe completely in her mission. And for the many ways I have failed, and for the people I've offended along the way, personally and in my ministry, I'm truly sorry. But on this day, I joyfully renew my commitment to Christ and his church and this marvelous diocese that I've come to know and love with my whole heart and soul. Please join me in continuing this wonderful journey of faith, a journey that we make together, a journey that will eventually take us home to the presence of Christ. On that happy day, our Advent longing will be fulfilled in ways that we cannot begin to imagine today. And may Mary, our Blessed Mother, Our Lady of Providence, watch over us with her loving care. And may God bless us, everyone.